Hello and welcome to the platform. This is a show where we invite one industry expert alongside 4 guests who get an opportunity to share or have breakfast with a champion. And in today's episode, we have invited fashion pioneer and of course the fashion curator for the Luju Festival. She comes here to talk about all things creative, all things fashion, and most importantly, mentor our guests.
Hello, my name is Sakile Simelane and I'm from Babane.
Hi, my name is Shigi Mbewe. I'm from Manzini.
Hey, Sanbonani. My name is Nonkulego Dlamini, but I'm known as Legoti, and I'm from Ngabaneni.
Hi, my name is Pio Samikininza, known as Tekesepchen. I am from Kazandondo.
My current career is a fashion enthusiast, branching into fashion influencing / content creation and fashion retail, as well as I'll dabble a bit in mentoring aspiring models.
Well, I chose fashion because I was kind of just born in it. I can't really say I chose it, it chose me.
I'm in the business of making women feel beautiful and look beautiful. I'm a fashion designer.
At the moment, I am a model and I specialize in communications and broadcasting.
I chose this career path because it feels natural to me. I've always been interested in fashion and I think I do have the necessary experience.
I chose to be a model because I wanted to embrace myself. I was a very shy girl and I wanted to express myself through fashion, and I wanted to express myself in communications and in broadcasting.
I chose fashion because I love fashion. I breed fashion and I just love looking good.
What sparked my interest was my siblings. They were in it before me and the way they made a living off it inspired me to, you know.
Some of my career highlights would be obviously the legendary Naomi Campbell reposted a photo of mine for a campaign that was happening during COVID 2020 for Vogue fashion covers, and that was one of my highlights that I remember off of the top of my head all the time.
My career highlights or probably achievements would be working with Castle Lights. That was one of the greatest ones. Working with Luju also was great. Part of it also stemmed from dressing a lot of artists, especially Swaziland and South Africa.
My career highlight was actually starting, and I think another one is when I won the social media awards in 2020. Yeah.
My career highlights so far are being a model for Luju Festival, curated by Thorne, our fashion director.
I want to meet Philly because she's quite experienced in the field that I'm trying to develop myself in, and she'll give me a lot of pointers that I think will be useful in developing my career.
I think I deserve a seat at the table with today's mentor because I'm probably the #1 fashion person in the country. Not everyone would recognize that, but I am the one, I'm the chosen one.
I'm looking forward to meeting the other creative and hopefully learning something new from them.
On this breakfast date, I'm looking forward to connecting with fellow fashion creatives in the country and just enlarging my scope and mindset in terms of fashion.
I'm looking forward to obviously interacting with Philippa, and I really want to try and corner her into helping me achieve that Fashion Week goal I spoke about earlier. I think she's the one.
From this opportunity, I'm hoping to learn a lot, especially from Phil because she has been in the industry for quite some time now.
And with that said, we like to welcome you to the platform. Today, we are exploring the fashion industry, speaking all things creative. And as you have already seen, we've got 4 participants joining me today and the champion of the day, which is of course, Philippa Thorne, just here to share some insights on the industry and of course, impact our 4 participants. I'd like to welcome you all to the platform.
Thank you for having us.
Philippa, we start with you. We do have some questions just to break the tension. I can see everyone's not that loose yet, but right in front of you is a bowl. Please do pick 3 questions and answer them truthfully.
3 questions?
3 questions, yes, one after the other.
Okay, this is very exciting. It's like when you get the little fortune cookies.
Yep.
Oh, coffee, tea, or something else to get your creative day started. Definitely coffee.
Okay.
And then I'm a big fan of working out. So either kickboxing or yoga.
Ooh,
Yeah.
okay. Cool.
Next question. Okay. If you weren't working in fashion, what other career could you see yourself in? That's a tough one, but I think I actually really love media and film, so definitely still be in the creative industry.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, what's a guilty pleasure show or movie you watch when you need to unwind? I think I really love feel-good movies, you know, where like the hero always wins in the end, or the heroine, I can say. Yeah. And just to escape. I'm trying to think of an example, but when I was a kid, I loved a movie called The Sound of Music. Okay. So yeah, I guess a musical with a positive message.
So creativity, is right at the center of your heart. But now we get into the more burning questions, what we're actually here for today. We believe that you've played a key role in shaping Eswatini's fashion identity, especially through your work with Luju and, of course, Dallas Spaces. What does it mean to you to champion homegrown fashion in a space that's rapidly globalizing? Because you could have taken it to the world, but you kept it right here.
Yeah, I mean, I've always been a fan of homegrown, locally made, quality, sustainable materials. And I think, as fashion becomes even more globalized, it's even more important that we focus on producing local, supporting local, and thinking about not only the future of our immediate economy, but also, the impact that our work as designers and creators has on, locally and internationally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And as I've already mentioned, the floor is not only mine. This platform is for all of us to share. So I'll allow our participants to continue to ask you questions.
Thank you for that, Phil. We all know that the fashion industry is fast changing and trend driven. So I want to know, how do you stay connected to your creative vision?
So I think the most important thing for me is to always stay centered on my values of what I believe in, because I feel like that helps you even when there's trends, not just to get sidetracked by every trend and kind of jump on it, and rather, and as tempting as it is as creatives, we see something that we love and we're like, oh, I just want to be part of that and do that. So I think it takes a lot of discipline to come back to your values and your mission, I guess, of what you stand for as a creative and as a designer. And maybe bring in influences, but then always come back to your true story and purpose.
Great. Great. Am I up next? Oh, hi, Phil.
Hi, Shiggy.
My name is Shiggy. We've met in a professional setting of fashion. There's this thing that I love the work you do, first and foremost. But I feel like Swaziland, we are in a predicament in terms of having a fashion body. So I wanted to ask you, do you feel like we need a fashion body like Eswatini Fashion Association to sort of guide the fast fashion moving, and also be able to teach the younger generation who's coming up and actually have a body that can represent events like Fashion Week, sort of regulatory body? Do you think that's something we could pull off, something we need?
Absolutely, yeah. I've seen, even in the years I've been here, the growth in the fashion sector, and I think it's at that point where we really need to come together. And I think the strengths of having an association would be, the kind of, the power in the collective, about addressing the common challenges, advocating for more support. And of course, having an official Eswatini Fashion Week would be amazing. I think it's really something we need. I think it's critical, actually, to be able to grow the sector. I think there's a lot, obviously as a small country, sometimes it's harder for us to get that exposure, but I think even as a collective, we could kind of take it to say, Joburg Fashion Week, and we could kind of have a Swati as a Swazi representative, or a group under an Eswatini Fashion Association kind of pop up in these different regional showcases. I have met recently a couple who have been actually started an Eswatini Fashion Association. They're going to be speaking at the Standard Bank Luju Fashion in Daba. So I'm not sure if you guys have been in touch yet. So I think it's something that maybe a number of people are thinking about. And I really hope that we can come together, because I sometimes feel like, you know, we can all, sometimes we can kind of put ourselves into silos, and there can be a number of people working on similar ideas, and it can get competitive as opposed to constructive. So, you know, I really hope that we can come up with something where we can have a strong association and kind of get multi-sectors on board, you know, from government to, you know, maybe partnership sponsors as well, so we can like really make waves in the fashion sector.
Thank you for that, Phil. Piggybacking a bit on what Shigi asked, I wanted to find out if the existence of modeling agencies in the scope of Eswatini fashion are that helpful for an aspiring model, and is it also a viable and sustainable business to run a modeling agency in Eswatini?
Yeah, it's a good question, and I think it is quite a challenge. I'm familiar with a few agencies. Yeah. I know that it's a small market, so I think it's a challenge in terms of models earning, you know, a good income, I think, for their work, because obviously in the modeling sector, it's the commercial work that pays better, I can say, and obviously we're slightly limited in that at the moment. And I think it's something that's been an issue with the arts in a broader sense, is that getting that recognition for creative work and compensation for creative work is something that we're still working towards. So I think it is worth keeping investing into these kind of areas like a modeling agency. And I think obviously, like, again, using the regional connections, I know like a lot of Eswatini models get opportunities to travel to countries around and do the fashion weeks. So I think it's definitely something we need. You know, if we have a fashion body, we need to have all the supporting related industries around it as well. So that would be like the photographers and the models and the stylists and everything that goes with kind of building the sector.
All righty, thank you.
Hi, Philly.
Hi.
It's really an honor to be with you today, because I'm one of the Dollar Spaces model, and I've really never had the chance to sit with you and interact with you and have conversations. As a person that wants to be in fashion curation and direction, like, please tell us about your journey and how it can actually help me as a model to be in that career.
Yeah, no, it's really nice to sit with you as well. Yeah, like all of you, I've kind of come in touch with a lot of you over the years, so it's really nice to have this conversation. Yeah, so I actually studied fashion design and marketing in London, and my career, it kind of took different route, I guess, in the sense that initially I was disillusioned with the fashion sector. I think sustainability had a lot to do with it. And when I came to Eswatini, I was really interested in learning about a more ethical way of practice of creativity. And that's how I got into the handcraft sector more. Just looping back to your question, you were asking, you know, how as a model you can transition into
fashion direction, yes.
Into fashion direction. Yes. So I think, you know, just your work as a model is exposing you to the sector, which is really great. You know, you're getting to see how shows work. And there's actually another model who I know has recently started her own collection as a designer. So I think just exposing yourself to the sector is really important. I would say, like, keep educating yourself, you know, locally and internationally. You know, I think even though there is a strong focus on having local inspiration, it's really important to be educated as to what the global movements are. Not to say that that's what you're going to do, but just so that you have that knowledge to bring into your work. So, I mean, educate yourself, whether it's formally or informally, because there's so much resources out there. And I think, you know, keep putting yourself out there and keep collaborating. You know, I would suggest like going to assist maybe on some of the photo shoots. I know a lot of stylists and art directors get in through that route of, you know, just, in fact, my daughter at the moment, she's volunteering at a magazine as an assistant. So I would definitely encourage that, yeah.
Thank you.
Beautiful. You've mentored a number of emerging designers here in the Kingdom of Eswatini. What I'd like to know is, well, there are obvious challenges. You know, you spoke about sustainability in the fashion industry, a bit shaky, but what are some of the biggest gaps, you know, that you've noted through having curated some of Luju's fashion programs in our region? Yeah.
So I think in terms of fashion designers, I think one of the gaps is scaling your business. So I think a lot of fashion designers start out with a vision to create a brand, but then once they start working, and you guys will correct me, but once you start working, you end up doing a lot of custom work because, you know, you're trying to sustain and make money and sell. So then people will come to you and say, can you make me this outfit? And then you end up maybe compromising your creative vision because you're custom making for people. So I think that's a challenge of how do you transition from that to then having the funding to say, this is my collection, this is my creative vision, this is, and being able to then launch and showcase that, because I think it takes a huge amount of capital, one, not only to make the clothes, but then also to get it to the market, you know, you know, you've got to do a photo shoot, you've got to get it up on socials, you might do a show, you know, in terms of production, you might need to make, you know, a number of sizes. So I think that's where I see the biggest gap, is supporting designers from transitioning into making one-off garments to being able to showcase their creative vision on a bigger platform. I hope that makes sense.
Thank you for that, Philip. Actually, I relate because when I started, I wanted to focus on ready to wear, but then I ended up making custom orders because people were like, I want this, I want this. Anyways, moving forward, for creatives still trying to find their feet, what would you say matters most? Is it consistency, originality, or having a community?
So, well, while I think they're all important, I would say like consistency is like a really big one, because I think if you stay consistent to yourself and your work and you keep putting your work out there, like you will attract the community that's, and I think, you know, that community might even evolve. You know, I think sometimes as we grow, you know, we have a tendency to want to stay within our friends network, but sometimes there needs to be a natural evolution, right? As you grow and you put yourself into different spaces, I think the right community should gravitate towards you. What you said, consistency, community.
Consistency, originality.
Originality. And I think, again, originality to me comes back to being consistent to yourself. Because if you're true to yourself as a unique individual, the originality will naturally shine through.
Great, me again, huh? That's nice. Phil, you know, as you were speaking, I remember when you were starting Dollar Spaces, I think, were in touch at the time. And being someone that also had a store at some point in time, I had to shut it down, right? Because business and like what you're saying, it's hard to scale business because sometimes you have to compromise. And I just want to find out, how do you sustain Dollar Spaces? It's probably going to be a two-body question, but how do you sustain keeping Dollar Spaces open and functional as a business? And then at the same time, how do you sort of keep the range? Like, because I feel like sometimes Swazis might not understand the type of fashion you're selling, because I do feel like we're not so ahead sometimes in terms of clientele. So how do you make the right clothes that you know that will sell so that you can still make a profit to keep the shop open? Till today. Anyway.
Thanks. So when we founded Dala, it was just at the end in COVID, actually, about 2020. And one of the objectives, obviously, as you know, was to provide a platform or one space where we could curate, you know, like the best of Eswatini design, fashion, home accessories. So I think one of the strengths is in that collective, because I think having a number of different brands in there keeps the diversity. So we hope to keep the customer interested in coming back, because they're going to find something new. So we're always looking for, you know, new brands, and we're always working with our current brands to say, like, you know, what, you know, how they can change up their product. It's also constant feedback, right? So we see what's the best sellers, you know, and that's, I guess, strategically as a retail space, you know, we can see, oh, this is popular, and we can then give that feedback to the brands, and then they could use that information as they develop new products. Yeah, it's not easy in a small business locally. I think another of our strategies has been, obviously we focused on local customers in COVID, and then we transitioned to also have tourism, and we're lucky that in the destination that we're in at Malandella's, we get a mix of customers. So again, it's like diversity in the product, but also a wider customer base.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Okay, so Phil, you did touch on this a little bit, but I wanted to ask what practical steps, if any, can fashion entrepreneurs take in order to attract investors or sponsors? Is that even something that's possible in the scope of Eswatini? Is there any entity or bodies that you know that would sponsor fashion entrepreneurs when they're trying to grow their business? In the instance of Lego, for instance, she's still trying to grow, but she has to do customized stuff in order to get the capital to fund her business. So are there any sponsors or investors that we could get?
Yeah, I mean, I think we need more of them, but I know there's a lot of business competitions, I think, you know, like the Junior Achievers. I'm sure you know probably even more of them than I do. And I know some of them are based more around like innovation. So, but I do think we need to, as creatives, we need to have our business hat and our creative hat. And I think that's what makes a lot of successful brands, is being able to balance those two. But I would say to attract investors, you kind of need to focus on having the whole package. Okay. And I think being consistent. So like, you know, if I go and pitch to someone, or if someone comes to me and they, show me something or pitch, like the first thing I'll do is like, I'll go like today, check on their social media, right? Because I want to see, what's behind, what's the history. You can see if someone's being consistent, be posting. I think a lot of investors will look for track records. Because a lot of people can come with a good idea, but if you're going to put money into something, you want to make sure that person can implement. So I think that's where their, reliability and track record comes into it a lot as well. Yeah.
Thank you.
I wanted to ask, as a model, how is it important to maintain like your body? Because most people ask me like, do you eat tissue? Like, because there's this concept that models eat tissues to maintain their body. So please tell us like, how is it important? Like, how is it important to maintain your body?
Well, I've definitely never been a fan of a very stereotypical, ultra slim model. I mean, I love all shapes and sizes and models, and I get really excited when I see brands that are embracing that. I think we need to see more of that. And so I think in terms of you and your body, it's about having a healthy lifestyle, having a balanced diet. I mean, I'm a mom as well, so obviously like I feel that that's the advice I would give to anyone is, we all know what it takes to be healthy. It's your diet, it's exercise, hydration, sleep. And I think routine, like that's the best thing for me, is like I said at the start, is my morning routine. Probably I could cut the coffee, but
And I know this just sent us back to some of the things that you've mentioned, but truthfully speaking, based on your experience and obviously your observation, is fashion a sustainable career in Eswatini? And what can be done to improve the situation if there are people who are still looking to be fully invested into this, industry? Because now we get people saying, hey, go study, get a job, and then do this on the side. Could it be something that we focus on fully? If you just want to be a fashion designer, just be.
Yeah, I mean, I do know of some successful fashion entrepreneurs in Eswatini, and I think it's definitely possible, and I want to believe it's possible. I think it does take a lot of commitment and dedication. Yeah. And a lot of us, you have to do it as a side hustle because, that's how I think a lot of entrepreneurs start. And, I guess I hope that more and more people can, bridge that gap to making it their full-time profession, and that they're earning and sustaining themselves from it.
And also now, sustainability and culture preservation are at the heart of your work. I mean, we see it in your work. It always just centers back to our culture. How have you managed, actually, rather, to, you know, keep it modern but very cultural?
Well, I guess then that's where I'd bring in the Luju tagline, which is a return to the African future. And what that really speaks to is like, you know, digging into heritage, history and culture, and how do we make that relevant today? And I think that is, you know, there's so many possibilities, but I think, you know, the future is in how can we use what we have to create, you know, new innovative materials in a sustainable way.
All right. Thank you so much for that, Philippa. We will be continuing the conversation. We've done our second round of questions, but you know, we still have some more burning questions, and I think our conversation will be more exciting after this break. So we will be taking a short commercial break. When we return, we're talking about more things in the creative industry and, of course, the fashion industry. But that is only when we return.
Sanbonani, my name is Sakile Simelane, and this is the platform only on Eswatini TV.
Hi, my name is Shigi, aka Shiga Dana. This is the platform found only on Eswatini TV.
Hi, my name is Piwa Samit Gininza, and this is the platform on Eswatini TV.
Hi, my name is Lego, and this is the platform only on Eswatini TV.
Other initiatives that I'm currently involved in include community development in the scope of developing and trying to assist to restore dignity for the elderly group in our communities.
Other initiatives that I'm involved in are helping my community at home in Sandondo. I help with charity, I help with the church, and I am a host. I do PR for agencies that work with Eswatini beverages. Yes.
I'm inspired by a lot of things, especially my surroundings. It doesn't have to be specific, but anywhere I'm around, I'm always inspired. It could be a word that someone says, it could be the way that they're dressed. So wherever I'm at, I am drawing inspiration.
I'm inspired by, it'll sound kind of funny, but I'm inspired by my brother. My brother, he did so much, but he's my main source of inspiration. Every time I feel lost, I'll just go on his page and then, I don't know, or speak to him and I just get my inspiration all the time.
I get inspiration from my mom. She was a fashionista, so we can say she's a retired fashionista. And the women that I work with on a daily, the young children in my community, you know, when Nomza Mambata speaks about being a tangible representation of a dream realized, I want to be that to them.
I'm inspired by Bonang Mateba because she's an entrepreneur, she's a fashion model and a media personality.
During my spare time, I like to sleep and think about my future plans.
Okay, I'd like to say I like to gym on my spare time, but let's speak into existence. I love to gym, so I'm just always pushing some.
During my spare time, I love traveling, having lunch with my friends and watching K-drama for inspiration.
During my spare time, I listen to music because that's what opens my mind to actually think of ideas. I like to look at new fashion trends. I like to look at my role models, what are they doing today and how can it help me with my career and myself.
This opportunity will help me advance my career in terms of getting pointers from other fashion enthusiasts in terms of business. They could have things that I don't know about that I'll adopt, and I believe those things will help me grow my business as well.
I think this opportunity will help me advance my career by probably the networking that was going to be done today, because there's also new faces that I'm meeting, or faces that I've been wanting to meet that I can finally network with.
Hello and welcome back to the platform. If you just tuned in today's conversation, we are joined by Philippa Thorne. Alongside 4 industry professionals, we have been having such an exciting conversation, and it definitely continues now as Lego D takes to the stage.
It's almost, it's not even almost, it's Luchu Festival season.
Yeah.
So I'd like to know, what role does cultural storytelling plays in how you curate designers for the festival? And also, how can emerging designers balance innovation and heritage, but still keeping it practical in their work? Yeah.
Thanks for a question. There's a lot in there, right? So storytelling and curation. Well, I think that also always has to be central, because I think as a festival, our role is to really provide a platform for aspiring designers and young designers. And I think we wouldn't be doing a good job if we didn't really get people to see and understand their brand and what they stand for. So obviously, when we're even selecting designers, we look for the story behind what they're doing. And it's important for us, as a curator, for us to understand what the brand is all about. And so that then we can tell that story to the audience. Because I think that's what the festival's all about, really, is kind of bridging the gap and exposing the festival goer to as many creatives as possible. And the other part of the question, sorry, just say the last bit again, if you don't mind.
How can emerging designers balance innovation with heritage, but still keeping it practical?
Yeah, the practicality it's challenging. And I mean, I think, we obviously have the Luju fashion show, and we want to get the wow factor there. So that's what I think, where, your creativity comes in more, and we have more show pieces. And they're not always as practical. They can be, but sometimes they can just be those wow factor pieces. And I think for a brand, that can be really important. And if in terms of creating an image and a story, but you might take a part of that and then make something that's a bit more wearable, which would then come through in your ready to wear line. So maybe there's some details in these kind of fantastical visions that you create that then you can see that comes through in a more wearable piece. And I feel like that's where the heritage and culture can inspire to bring those elements in.
There we go.
Yeah.
Anyway, Phil, I have this one question I think everyone's been asking me. The theme. The theme seems to be vague for everyone. I don't know if you've noticed, but most of your clients that go to Luju, they usually go for shwe prints. And so my question is that the actual base theme of Luju? Because I see you got that Back to the African Future, Threads of Time. I think Bello tried to explain to me, but I don't want to use her information. I'll ask you directly.
Wow.
Because for me, even when you say Threads of Time, just to a person who's not into fashion, I was assuming threads and a clock on my neck, you know what I mean? Because it's a little bit vague. So could you explain to us, firstly, I understand what inspires the theme, but what's the actual theme this year and how should people dress?
Yeah, thanks for the question, because it's great to be able to unpack that. So Threads of Time, threads is a pun on threads, clothes, right?
Yes.
And time is obviously speaking to fashion over the ages. So it links firstly to a return to the African future, which is the overarching philosophy of Luju Festival, where we're looking back at heritage. So specifically Threads of Time is asking the festival goer and the designer to do their research in the origin of textiles specifically. So, and obviously those textiles span over time, right? So I'm actually wearing today a piece of indigo cloth from Ghana. So this is hand dyed, and it's used natural materials and dyes. So, those are more traditional ways on the African continent that textiles have been made. And then obviously over time, we've had colonialism has brought in Western trends to fashion. So it's not to say we have to throw that out, but it's just to maybe educate ourselves and understand where, you know, the different trends and materials have come from. So even like with the wax print, it's not necessarily made in Africa, right? Even though we see it as a very African aesthetic. So you know, I think art is always about asking questions. So we want to ask people that question, to think more about the history of fabrics and textiles in Africa.
Okay, so no shweshwes.
There can be shweshwe. There's no right or wrong answer, right? So, you know, if shweshwe is what you're passionate about, go and explore that and maybe dig into history that you didn't know about shweshwe. You know, you might discover something, or, you know, you may, I don't know, you might know already, or it might be something that you find special about it that you want to tell other people.
I see.
And that will be why you choose to use shweshwe, and it will have that message. So it's like educating, you know, the audience about this is the history of shweshwe. Possibly. But again, like you say, any theme is open to interpretation. We're just there to put a theme, and then creatives are there to interpret it, and that's the beautiful thing, right? We want to be surprised, right? We want to be like, wow, we never thought of it that way.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you.
Okay, so Phil, we've recently been introduced to AI in the world, and I want to find out your take on it relating to fashion in terms of, will it be destructive or will it be beneficial for the industry, for the fashion industry in Eswatini?
So, I mean, I think I can speak to it personally, is that I have been using AI, and I do find it helpful, but I definitely think there's a line where I feel like you can depend too much on it. So I feel like, you know, it's always important to, and I think creativity, in a way, it might be an industry that gets to shine, right? Because I don't know that AI is going to be able to take away from original thought, which is what, you know, the creative arts is all about. So I think let's use it as a tool to help us. It's great for small businesses where you know, say you want to write a job contract and you don't have an HR department, that's where I can help you. You just have to type in a few things like write me a job description, and let's use it to help us, but not to take away our original thought and creativity.
Thank you.
Okay, Phil. Sorry. Okay, in my opinion, okay, there's fashion and there's style. Fashion is what anyone can wear, and style is how it can define you. So in your own opinion, like, can you please define fashion and style?
So yeah, I feel like fashion for me speaks to more trend-based, so following trends, whereas I think style is more original, and I think it's timeless, and I think it's more unique. So I think I definitely aspire to having style, but it is a fine boundary, because you also get drawn to those fashionable things. But yeah, I would say the differences between fashion is about following trends, whereas style is more of a personal, timeless expression of yourself.
Okay.
And you know, we've been having this conversation, and all I'm realizing is that you came here today as our mentor, but we'd also like to know who inspires you, you know, because you speak so profoundly on the fashion industry. You have to be learning from someone, maybe even outside of Eswatini. Who inspires Philippa?
Well, I can definitely say my sister-in-law, Nozipo Thorne, or Sasha, as a lot of people know her. I think, you know, she's really helped to educate me more about Swati culture, and I think her brand Mongi, how she incorporates, you know, indigenous knowledge into her products in a very authentic way, and very sincerely, and with a lot of passion. So I've really enjoyed watching her journey and learning from her.
That's beautiful. She's one intentional person, and we love her work, absolutely.
Phil, so I don't know if you would give advice to a younger version of you who is just starting out in fashion, what would it be?
So I would say, yeah, just don't take any critique to heart. I think as creatives, we put a lot of ourselves out there. Every time we show something, it can be very personal. And not everyone's always going to get you, and that's okay. And you know, if you get negative feedback, you've got to. It's like the hardest thing for me as well. but just to like try to move on from it as quickly as possible. And I also think that sometimes people who are revolutionary will have negative feedback. So in a way, if you don't have that, are you really even doing it right anyway?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, Phil, last question for me. I think I just wanted to find out again with Dollar Spaces, what's the direction in the future for Dollar? Are you going to franchise it? Could someone possibly, if I get some good money, could I buy it and franchise it myself, sell it, have the same brand, like Mr. Price? Or is it just going to stay where it is and grow from just there in Malandelas?
Let's talk later, Shigi.
A business opportunity.
Yeah, I'm just trying to,
Definitely. I mean, I definitely believe something must always evolve and grow. I think it would be amazing to see, a collective store of Eswatini products, regionally, maybe in Joburg or something.
Yeah.
I'm definitely would love to collaborate more. I know I can't do everything myself, so I believe that growth of Dala would come with collaborations.
Okay.
Definitely, yeah.
Okay. We'll talk.
Yeah.
Include me too. Anyway, Phil, I'd like to know what 3 things would you say as fashion entrepreneurs we should adopt or focus on that you wish you did when you started?
What 3 things?
Yeah.
Okay, so I would have tried to be more disciplined with the collections that I were presenting and not being easily swayed. Like, we were actually talking about it the other day, like when we look at Coca-Cola, it's like, came up in a training we did on marketing. It's like a brown liquid, right? But it's like now a global brand. And it's just one product.
Yep.
So I think as a creative, it's very tempting to keep like redesigning. I'm going to try this product and try that product. And if something's not selling, to try something new rather than to look at what you're doing and see why is it not selling. Because I think if you miss that part, you're missing the learnings and the takeaway that you need to grow. Okay. So sticking to one point. I think not taking criticism personally.
Okay.
I think like getting out of my own way of like, sometimes I've held myself back because if I get a negative comment, then I'd be like,
it's over with.
Yeah, exactly. So I think being a bit thicker skinned.
Okay.
Number 3, I don't know, I'll have to come back to you on that one.
Okay, no worries. We'll talk when you talk to Shigi anyway.
Coming back to the discipline and the what we lack we also lack that as models. So are there going to be future programs like trainings for models to be able to overcome that as we are in the grassroots? So we want to be able to overcome that before we become leaders also.
Yeah, I would love to do that. And I think it speaks to Shigi's first question where he spoke about creating, a collective fashion board or something, because I think we need funding to do those kind of things and we need investors. So I think, we need to keep coming together like this, and thanks for this platform.
Yeah.
Because I think it's something we need to work on.
And, as you're speaking, what I realized is that collaboration is something that you stick by so closely. And in your previous, response to the question that I asked, you mentioned that your sister-in-law inspires some of the work that you do. And I think Shigi also works closely with you work closely with your sister, right?
Yeah, very
yes.
much, yeah.
So can we please talk about the importance of collaboration and not in other spaces, just as family? Because even Lego might have maybe a sister who studied marketing, who can help her with maybe her social media, who can help her market her brand, because that's not a strength that she has. If we could just speak on collaboration, especially within family and closer spaces rather.
Yeah, so I think, I feel really lucky because I've got a really inspiring family around me. And I think, we all bring different strengths and we all focus on maybe different areas of the business. Like you're saying, some have a strength in marketing or someone else is stronger in production in our family. But I think what keeps us together is the common goals and the values. And I think also just being, you have to be like forgiving and accepting as well, because you're not always going to agree all the time, and you've got to just like know that that's going to happen and come up. And give each other space as well. You know, if I feel like something's really important to that person, I can be like, okay, like I know that's really important to them. Let me like put myself there to be a support, because I know that if something's important to me, then they can also be there for me, hopefully.
And to that, there's also a downside, because working with people that you relate to so much can cause clashes in certain instances. How have you handled times like that? Have there been times like that?
No, absolutely. And I think the most important thing is to have open, honest communication, even if it's hard. I think that's one thing we always come back to, is communication when there is a conflict, and also like communicating on what your vision and plans and dreams are, because I think all of that helps you just to understand the other person better, and with that understanding comes that like compassion and I don't know.
There you go. Last questions.
Okay, my last question to you is, what are some of the most unexpected challenges that you have faced, and how did you manage to navigate through them?
Okay, unexpected challenges. Well, I guess COVID was like a huge unexpected challenge, especially for our family, because it really affected nearly all of our businesses. So we couldn't do, like our festivals for 2 years. We were also, in terms of the handcraft, like the cocoa bags we were selling a lot to tourists. The borders were shut. So I think, how did we overcome that? Well, from my side, I think, that's where I created, was the idea behind Dallas Spaces. And actually, I feel like it's been one of the best changes in my career, because it kind of took me from working maybe individually on my own work to working with other people. And that really started this journey of the work that I've been doing now, where I curate the marketplace and I bring in other creatives. So for me, it actually stimulated something really positive. So I think, challenges are an opportunity to think creatively and solve a problem. Okay, thank you.
There's no way I'm going again.
Yeah.
I'm just joking. Phil, I didn't know I was going again, so this one is straight from the top. Oh, but I've been straight from the top because... Okay. My question is, I feel like I'm absolutely one of the best dressed in the country, right? All the time, even in my sleep, right?
Okay.
So when you do the competitions at Luju, how do you select your best dress? What's the process like? Is it? I just want to understand that part, so I can win.
So it depends on the criteria each year, but generally there might be some participation criteria that is involved. So it might be like posting a picture or tagging yourself, and obviously that speaks to the Luju partnerships that we have. In terms of the creative criteria, what we look for is often the originality. We sometimes will ask where's your garments from? So if it's made in Eswatini, for example, and also alignment to the theme.
Okay.
So we normally have a panel of judges. We'll have scouts going around having a look for potential best dress, and then they will kind of submit those selection to the panel of judges. Yeah.
Okay.
Good luck. Good luck, hey. I'm not going to tell you who the judges are here.
Oh, thanks.
Before he goes right ahead and drives.
Yeah, exactly.
So most people usually think fashion just you could only have a few careers, like being a fashion model, fashion designer. But what other careers, maybe 2 or 3, what other careers exist in the fashion industry that other people may not know about? Yeah.
So I think obviously styling, which is putting a look together. And I think that's a really underappreciated job, because I think even in, say, for example, television, when people are getting dressed in front of the camera, they might need someone to help them put the look together. Politicians might need a stylist. So I think that's a great career opportunity. The other one I also love is creative direction.
Okay.
So that would be, it can work on a lot of different mediums, but say for example a magazine, You're responsible for deciding like what your kind of art editorials might be in that month, like what kind of market you're targeted towards. So yeah, that's something I would have also loved to do, putting something all together. And curation, like what I guess I do for the festivals. Yeah.
So you'll hire me then.
Yeah.
Smart.
The last one is, what is the biggest moment you've had in your journey, like the biggest highlight that you said like, okay, I did this?
Yeah.
So I think something that really was a big highlight for me is like when we made our first cocoa bag, because I had a vision to, combine traditional Swazi weaving with leather, and I always aspired to like, those brands that, the handbag, like the Hermes, the beautiful handbags, and it was like, I didn't know that we could do it until we did it. Yeah. And it was just so amazing to hold this piece and be like, wow, we made this, So sometimes, having like an audacious goal, I guess. Okay. And when you break it down and step by step, and then, it is achievable.
Yeah. This conversation could continue on and on. I actually had a question myself, but I think that is where we wrap up today's conversation. Thank you so much to all our participants for all of those questions. I think they'll be beneficial to anyone watching who, aspires to be a part of the creative or the fashion industry. Thank you to you, Philippa, for coming to sit on that hot seat and, just for being a beacon of hope to us here in the Kingdom of Eswatini. Please do not tire. Continue to shine your light on the young creatives, the aspiring creatives, so we keep the fashion going, we keep the industry growing, and, just keeping it alive and vibrant as you would wish, I do believe. Thank you so much for making time to come here on the platform.
Thank you for having me. Good luck, everyone.
Thank you.
All right, that is how we wrap up today's conversation with Philippa Thorne. We hope that you were inspired by this, and that is how, we close it off. But until next time, it is good night and God bless.
My key takeaways from this conversation have been more on the business side of things. Philippa gave us a lot of advice in that regard in terms of staying original to why you started your business and making sure that you try not to deviate too much and do the one thing that you started off as. Because branching out a lot will then confuse your vision, and you may end up feeling dispowered and discouraged because it may not be received the way that you intended. Whereas when you stick to your original plan, it's easier for you to develop systematically and allowing your designs and whatever your business is based off of to mature and be able to proceed seamlessly.
The key takeaways I got from the conversation were actually Philippa was so insightful about business, I actually discussed with her one thing that was important to me about how she runs the store, Gala Spaces. While she explained that very well, and I really appreciate the entrepreneurial side of that. And then another thing was, I guess, the questions that actually came from the other panel members. Those really got me, especially when we're discussing the issue of, say, the theme of Luju, how she broke it down. I didn't understand that. So I really appreciate it.
My key takeaways were that it is important to stay true to yourself if you are in this industry, and also it's okay to receive negative comments from people because it's a form of learning and improving in certain areas.
The key takeaways that I took from the breakfast meeting was that as I want to be a fashion stylist and a fashion director one day, I should expose myself to more designers. I should expose myself to other models. I should expose myself to other fashion directors to get the mentorship and to learn from them.
Shows like the platform are important because they give access to information. It's information dissemination to the general public. Other people, especially in the rural areas, may not know about certain careers, and this gives them the platform to understand and make informed decisions about their futures.
Shows like the platform are important because you get to meet your mentors and other creatives where you can learn from them.
Shows like the platform, the impact they have on young people is that they will first dissect your business, all the key questions you have to like get to the success that you need. And then also you will network with people like Philippa, you network with people like Saki, and in the same breath, realize your goal. Like I came here with the goal of Fashion Week, and we spoke about it to length, and probably tomorrow I could actually approach Philippa and get more insights on that. So imagine you're a young person, you have a goal, you have a dream, and then next thing you know, you're on such a show and you get all your insights. So I think that's how it's going to impact them in a very positive way.
Shows like the platform help us because as I am a model, I'm starting from the grassroots. They help us to give us guidance and direction to where I'm going.
And that is indeed the light we need in the fashion industry. We hope that our 4 participants will continue to shine and be a beacon of hope to the upcoming youth and all the upcoming creators in the Eswatini kingdom. But right about now, we are wrapping up the show. It has been an exciting time with you here on the platform. Please do join us next time as we give another set of professionals the next platform.